You'll love the new senior home. It has bingo night, my daughter said with a smile that looked warm on the surface but carried a shadow behind it, and in that single moment I felt something inside me break, because those words were not an invitation, not a choice, but a sentence, a decision that told me my time in my own family's home had come to an end. And I sat there nodding like everything was fine while my heart screamed silently, asking how it had come to this, how a life filled with sacrifice and love could be reduced to a brochure of painted smiles and promises of games to fill the hours. I thought back to the nights I walked the floor carrying her as a baby when fevers kept her crying, to the mornings when I woke before the sun just to make sure she had a hot meal before school, to the years I worked long hours, denying myself rest and comfort, so she could have shoes on her feet and dreams in her hands, and now that same child looked at me as though I were fragile, in the way. Someone to be placed gently out of sight, so life could move on smoothly without me. The weight of that realization sat heavy in my chest, but I forced a smile, because mothers learn to hide their pain for the sake of their children, even when those children are grown and no longer see the sacrifices that shaped them. In the days that followed, I watched as the decision turned into action. Boxes appeared, my belongings carefully labeled as though I were being cataloged and archived, not cherished and remembered, and I wondered if they realized that every photo, every piece of fabric, every worn chair carried a memory of laughter, tears, and years that could never be replaced. My son-in-law spoke about schedules and costs like it was a business transaction, his tone practical, his eyes avoiding mine, and I felt like my life had been reduced to numbers on a page, as if love could be measured in dollars, as if my worth could be calculated by the hours someone else would now spend looking after me. On the morning I was to leave, I lingered in the doorway of my bedroom, tracing the lines of sunlight spilling across the floor, remembering the nights I prayed in that very spot when life was hard and the world felt heavy, and I realized that leaving this room meant leaving a piece of myself behind, a piece that no new place could ever restore. As the car pulled away, carrying me toward the senior home, I turned my head to see my house growing smaller in the distance, and I felt the tears rise unbidden, though I brushed them away quickly because I did not want my daughter to feel guilt, though guilt already hung heavy in the silence between us. The senior home greeted us with colors too bright, walls too cheerful, as if they were painted to cover the loneliness inside, and when I stepped through its doors, the air smelled faintly of disinfectant mixed with something else, something I recognized at once. Quiet despair. Smiling staff welcomed me. Residents nodded politely, but behind every smile and nod I saw the truth, the same truth that now lived in me. We were not here because we wanted to be, we were here because someone else had decided it was easier this way. As I walked past open doors, I saw faces staring at walls, hands folded in laps, eyes dulled by time and absence, and I wondered how many of them had once been told the same words, "You'll love it, it is bingo night." As though a game could replace the embrace of family, as though prizes and painted rooms could soothe the ache of being unwanted. That first night, I lay in the unfamiliar bed and listened to the hum of machines in the hallway, the distant shuffle of footsteps, and I closed my eyes, trying to remember the warmth of my own room, the sound of my own clock ticking softly, the smell of the roses from my garden drifting in through the window, and I realized with a sharp pang that those memories would now be my only comfort. Days became weeks, and though I adjusted to the rhythm of this place, I never stopped longing for the rhythm of home. In the dining hall, I met others with stories like mine. Clara, once a teacher, placed here by a daughter who had no time. Henry, a veteran whose son stopped visiting after borrowing too much money. Maria, whose children lived only minutes away, but rarely crossed the threshold to see her. Each story was stitched with love once given and abandonment now felt, and in their eyes I saw reflections of my own sorrow, but also a flicker of strength, the strength that comes from surviving heartbreak and still finding reasons to smile. Together we shared pieces of our lives, and though it did not erase the ache, it softened it, reminding us that we were not invisible to each other. Some evenings I would sit by the window as the sun melted into the horizon, painting the sky with orange fire, and I would think about my daughter, wondering if she remembered the sound of my laughter, the lessons I taught her, the times I stood between her and the hardships of the world, and I prayed silently that one day she would realize what she had done before regret became her companion. Because regret is a shadow that arrives too late, and once it settles in the heart, it never leaves. But as the days stretched on, I also realized something else, something that carried me through the darkest hours, that though they had placed me here, though they had set me aside, they could not erase my worth. They could not undo the love I had given, because that love was written into the very fabric of their lives, woven into their successes, their joys, their very existence. And if you are listening now, if this story reaches your heart, then let it be more than just words. Let it be a reminder to look at your own parents with fresh eyes, to see not the burden but the blessing, not the obligation but the gift, because the day will come when their chair is empty, when their voice is gone, and you will long to hear it just once more. But silence will be the only answer. Life is fragile, fleeting, and unforgiving when we waste its chances, and there is no wound deeper than the wound of neglect, no sorrow sharper than the sorrow of realizing too late that love was waiting and you did not answer. So I ask you, if my story has touched even a corner of your soul, do not let it slip away as just another tale. Let it move you to action. Call your mother, visit your father, sit with them, listen, because presence is the greatest gift you can give, and once it is gone, nothing can replace it. And if you believe stories like mine matter, if you want to keep alive the voices of those who gave everything and ask for nothing but love in return, then stay with me, walk this path together, subscribe to this channel, and help create a space where no one is forgotten, where every story finds a home, and where love, even in its quietest echoes, is never silenced.